Senator Marsha Blackburn joins me. Good morning, Senator. Senator, you with me? Uh-oh. There you are, Senator. Oh, we lost her. We're going to try and get her back? Hope so. We're calling her back. I think Twitter has just died out on everyone as well. I'm trying to check the tweet feed to put something about Senator Blackburn joining me, and Twitter will not load right now. So the bird is down. The bluebird is down, and so is Marsha Blackburn's cell phone coverage. Or we could blame Dwayne, because this is his job. But I just filling time here. There she is, Senator Blackburn. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. How are you?
I'm great. Senator, I want to remind people that you won in 2018, and you beat Phil Bredesen like a drum. You beat him by 54.7% to 43.9%, so about by 11 points. Am I correct?
Correct.
Did you not get a lot of polls that said it was neck and neck, or maybe you were behind? Wasn't the polling kind of this is a toss-up race, if I recall correctly?
Yes, you're correct about that. Bredesen had served as governor for 2 terms, and he had carried every county when he ran for re-election as governor. And people said, "Oh, she cannot win this. She's too conservative. She's too this. She's too that."
Now,
and
I bring this up because
race.
this morning we got a poll that says Raphael Warnock is leading Herschel Walker by 3 points. And I just remind people, polling is broken and it's biased. And in Wisconsin, they said Joe Biden was going to beat ABC Washington Post the week before the election, said Joe Biden was up 17 points. He ended up beating President Trump in that state by 0.6 points. I don't believe any polls. I do not think they should be reported. They are biased against Republicans. They are broken. Do you agree with me, Senator? Senator, your cell phone, I didn't hear a word you said, so you're going to have to try again because your cell phone's not coming through.
I said there is a lot of biased polling that is out there. And I think we see this in a lot of races. With the Warnock-Walker race, what we do have to realize is Warnock is up on TV and Herschel is out meeting people, shaking hands, and he will get on TV at some point later.
Yeah, I think Herschel's going to win. I actually think he's going to win like you won. I think he's going to win by 10 points, and then everyone's going to forget that the polls said Raphael Warnock was 3 points out, and we're going to continue to report polls. Polls just stink, and I wish people would understand. They thought you were in a neck-and-neck race in Phil Bredesen. I always thought, no, I've talked to Congressman Blackburn for a long time. She's pretty popular down there, and Tennessee's pretty red. And your state's doing fine. Now, Senator, you were in that bizarre hearing this week.
Yes.
All right. So I'll let you pick the greatest hits. I talked about it with Tom Cotton. I played Holly and Cruz and all the rest of them. And I know that the good professor is very smart and very left-wing. But honestly, you started a revolution when you asked someone to define woman. I don't know if you know that, but you started a revolution. We should have Hear Me Cry Up music going on right now.
Well, and indeed, you've got people on the left that do not want to say woman or female. They're fearful of doing that. And for decades, they have made women's rights and being in complete lockstep with them on women's rights, the centerpiece of much of what they do. And now they don't even want to talk about the word woman. In the hearing my questioning in the hearing, I talked with the 2 witnesses that were ours. Of course, there were 3 Democrat witnesses and 2 of ours, and allowed them to get on the record some of the things of why it is important that the issue of abortion go back to the states. And then with the clinic, the pregnancy center, allowing them to talk about how Planned Parenthood, who, by the way, gets over $500 million a year from the U.S. government through different grants, how they, if a woman goes to one of those clinics and does not choose abortion, they send that individual away for them to go to a pregnancy center to get care. they're not providing that all-female care. And I thought that was important to get on the record. And as I told Durbin, I said, we need to have a hearing that looks at this. If these Planned Parenthood clinics claim to offer women's health care, but they do not. If it is not abortion, then they send them to a community clinic, to a pregnancy center, somewhere else for those testing services that would accommodate a woman during a pregnancy.
That's a great idea. Did Senator Durbin of Illinois agree to that hearing?
Of course not. He sat there and just acknowledged, but did not agree. But I thought it was important to do because you had one of the Planned Parenthood officers there as well as a pregnancy center, and they were sitting side by side.
Now, Senator, I want to stipulate, you're a Christian, I'm a Christian. We believe, as C.S. Lewis said, everyone is unique, eternal horror, or everlasting splendor. We want everyone to find faith, go to heaven, live a good life. And I love everyone regardless of their orientation, their politics. That is my approach. Sometimes people are wrong, and sometimes people are confused, and sometimes people are troubled, and sometimes people are emotionally disturbed, and sometimes people just want to be different. And I'm okay with all that. But I had 2 grandchildren 5 weeks ago on the same day, cousins. One was a boy and one was a girl. And it's baby girl X and baby girl Y. And you know, of course, I'm a gaga grandpa. I'm happy about both of them. And they may grow up to be anything, and I will love them unconditionally, no matter what is the situation of their life, as I'm sure you would yours. The question, though, isn't that. The question of that hearing is, have we lost our basic ability to talk to people because the left doesn't want us to be able to talk to people? I mean, it's common sense, obvious nouns.
Well, Hugh, you have heard me say for years that this nation, our freedom, our government of, by, and for the people has been well served by having robust, respectful, bipartisan debate, allowing all voices to be heard. But now, in the era of cancel culture, when you go to college and you try to have that counterpoint discussion, you are unable to do so because you've got professors who say, if you disagree with me, I will not pass you out of this class. I will not allow that event. I will cancel you.
Yeah, Professor, Senator, I have been a professor of law for 25 years, and I've always had blind grading. And like Professor Bridges, I encourage robust discussion and respect for every student. But I'm beginning to wonder at elite law schools like Harvard and Berkeley if it isn't a completely oppressive atmosphere, and whether or not federal funding ought to be withdrawn from them. I don't know that federal funding ought to be going to any university that shuts down free speech or creates a culture of intimidation based upon political ideology. And I sure do believe that's happening in this country.
Well, it is so unfortunate. You know, I had a mom recently say to me that she was sending a child off to college, and she said, you know, I always thought I would be sending my child off to school to expand their worldview, to open their mind, to have them learn about critical thinking. And she said, now my concern is that they're going to come back with a more narrow worldview than they had when they entered college.
Now, I am now for community college in 2 years at State U, big State U, and then stay away from law school because it's just an ideological car wash. And until the Federalist Society gets a few law schools to come back to their senses. So, Senator, after Roe v. Wade is overturned, now that Dobbs is the rule of the law, do you think that we need to have abortion laws with exception for rape and incest for the 10-year-old in Ohio? That obviously, it's a threat to her life as well.
And, you know, Hugh, all of these abortion regulations and restrictions are going back to the states. And no one wants to see a child suffer. No one wants to, the situation that has come about out of Ohio is just absolutely, and
It's horrific.
what
It's
we have
horrific.
learned,
Yeah.
yeah, it is indeed.
But that was taken care of. I believe most statutes at the state level would include that in the life of the mother exception for abortion. But I also know it's an illegal immigrant. It brings us back to the border. And I just wondered, do you think your Democratic colleagues are going to bring that up as they discuss this as an example of why we need abortion for 10-year-olds? I mean, will they also bring up we need to stop illegal immigrants coming into the country?
And our Democratic colleagues have known that for years that women and girls were being abused as they were coming across that border. And the sex trafficking, the human trafficking, the having to give pregnancy tests to young girls because of the abuse that was occurring as they were transiting and coming to that southern border. And it's going to be important that we look at protection for people. It is going to be important that we secure that southern border. And whether it's the human trafficking, the sex trafficking, the gangs, the crime that they're causing in our communities, the drug trafficking, the deaths by fentanyl. One of the things I hear from Tennesseans most often is they want to get that border secured so that we get a handle on crime and gangs and drugs, and they want something done about inflation.
And Senator, I got to go. I want to stay on immigrants. I was in Ohio last week. People don't mind immigrants coming to Ohio. They welcome them with open arms. They want them to be safe, and they want them to be legal, and they want them to be welcome to the United States. I assume that's your position. Now, 9.1%, that's crushing Tennesseans, isn't it?
It is crushing, absolutely crushing, the price at the pump, and not only individual families, but county budgets. I visit with all 95 of our Tennessee counties each year, and the county budgets for law enforcement, for first responders, for schools, for government buildings to be heated and cooled, and school buses to run, and police to be able to be out. They're having to double their energy budgets. Double.
It's going to be, it's the Carter years. You're too young to remember them, Senator, but I do. Thank you so much for joining me, Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee. Keep coming back.